Okay, so today I am gonna start the live because we have a lot to cover, and those of you who are joining the live late, you can just rewatch the live to see what you missed in the beginning. So today, the 21st of November, we are going to continue with our topic, persuasive writing. We are going to continue drafting our body. We are going to continue utilizing the persuasive techniques that we have learned. But today we're going to learn something new. We are going to learn how to incorporate a counter argument into the body of your persuasive essay. So last classes, we were looking at what is persuasive writing. No, Kaylon. No, Kaylon. You can go in the bedroom and wait for mommy. Yes. So, in the previous classes, we were looking at persuasive writing. We established that persuasive writing is a type of writing that allows you, the author, to convince your audience that your opinion is the opinion of logic and reason, and they should adopt or accept your opinion. You tactfully persuade someone into holding the same opinion as you by using the art of rhetoric. So rhetoric is simply presenting factual information that is presented in a specific way using language to persuade the person listening to adopt your stance. We established that rhetoric is commonly used in many professions. Professions such as a politician will use rhetoric. A lawyer will also use rhetoric in the courtroom. We established, no, go and sit in there. Kaylon, mommy is working right now. Kaylon, yes, I understand. No, go and figure it out. You can figure it out. Kaylon, could you please go to the bedroom? Sorry about that. Yes. So we established that certain professions use rhetoric, politicians, lawyers. If you're in the habit of pitching business to people, let's say you're an insurance salesman or you're some sort of sales representative, you can also use persuasive writing. Commonly, we would often see persuasive writing in letters to the editor in the newspaper, where people will send in their opinions on particular topics, and then we will read and either adopt or refute whatever it is they're saying. So there are many uses for persuasion in your occupational lives and your everyday life, because if you're ever trying to convince somebody of something, you would have to use persuasion. If ever you're watching an advertisement, an infomercial, you're listening to a campaign debate, you're going to be faced with persuasive writing. So it's important for you to know what are the different techniques that are used in persuasion so that you will not find yourself susceptible to being persuaded by them. We established that in order for you to write a persuasive piece, you need to understand your purpose and your audience. So your purpose would definitely be to persuade somebody, but are you persuading them for the agreement of the topic or for the disagreement of the topic? So once you establish whether you agree or disagree with the topic, which is your stance, you will then go on to establishing who would be the individuals who would be refuting such a claim, who would be on the opposing side. And then you will go ahead and do your brainstorming and your researching of information that is debunking those who will refute the claim. It's not enough for you to have a lot of facts about your opinion. Yes, you have facts about your opinion, but it is also very important for you to know what are some of the facts that the opposer will bring to you, so that you can preempt that sort of rebuttal. You can preempt somebody telling you, well, and giving a fact about the topic. And that's the thing about arguments. If ever you're presented with a topic where you are arguing to agree or disagree, most times there is no wrong answer. Okay? When I say most times there's no wrong answer, there can be a less logical answer. But when we move on to persuasive writing, just persuasive writing, you would realize that there's another type of writing where you can persuade people to do things that have no opposing, it has no opposing stance. For example, you cannot argue to smoke cigarettes, right? You cannot present a claim why you should stop smoking cigarettes, and somebody will argue that I should not stop smoking cigarettes. That's not a logical argument, and it's not an argument that has weight on both sides. When you're arguing, your argument has weight on both sides. So in that case, telling someone why they should stop smoking, they all know the reasons why they should stop smoking, but you're trying to persuade them to act on that better information, as opposed to with an argument, there's weight on both sides. So that is why I say a campaign, right? So for a campaign, whoever is voted in is voted in. There is no wrong answer, right? There is just a logical and a more logical answer. And you debate which one is the most logical of all the parties involved, or the more logical of the two parties that are presented. But at the end of the day, there is no wrong answer. So that is the argument. So when you have letters to the editor, that's what they're presenting. They're presenting an argument. Most times you can see in other areas, like in the health industry or in the financial industry, there'll be a lot of persuasive pieces that will advise you. It's best that you start budgeting, it's best that you start investing, it's best that you start eating healthy. There are lots of different things that can be used to persuade you, right? And there is no logical opposing answer. But when it comes to the argument itself, it is important for us to know what would be the opposing argument, as in what would be some of the logical facts that they're going to come with that I can refute to show where that may be logical, but here's an even more logical perspective. Okay? So when you're doing your argument, it's important not just for you to have your claims, or not just important for you to have your factual research data, but it is also important for you to research some of the information or the factual data or the opinions that the other individual who is the opposer to your stance will also hold. And that's what we're going to look at today. So we're going to look at making your argument stronger using what is called a counter argument, where you present a factual, logical, rational point that you know the opposer will have, but you refute it with an even stronger, more logical claim. And in doing so, it makes your essay seem very well researched, because you're not just presenting information that I researched. It's not just my side of the argument. That looks biased, that you're only presenting the facts that your opinion can find logic in. Like I said, with an argument, they're usually opposing answers that are also steeped in fact. To ignore those facts completely will make your argument seem biased. So as a way of strengthening our argument, You look for the argument that the opposer will come with or they will use in their refute or their rebuttal, and then you debunk that, as in you hit it hard to show, well, yes, this may be smart, but I have an even smarter objective. So that's what we're going to look at today. Our objectives for today's class is to create a body paragraph, much like what we did yesterday. Use all the necessary sentences, and I placed a checklist of sentences over here, and utilize a persuasive technique and present a counter argument. So yesterday I would have had about 5 sentences in my checklist. Today I have about 6 sentences in my checklist. And the reason why I have 6 sentences is on top of the topic sentence, which we looked at yesterday, which is what introduces what your topic is about. We have our rationale, which is my opinion, my reasoning, followed by my factual data, which is the data and the information that I would have researched, the information that is backed by authority, the secondary source of information that did not come from me, but came from an expert or an organization with that sort of credibility. Persuasive technique and link. So I'll use my persuasive technique. Yesterday's class I used cause and effect, and I linked a chain of events that showed how my factual information linked to my stance. And then I have number 5, my counter argument. So this is what we're going to focus on today, creating a counter argument. And then we have our censure sentence. Okay, so yesterday's class I was hinging on Kenelia's submission of her argument, which is, should teachers give excessive homework? Should teachers give excessive homework? And we created a very nice paragraph discussing how the American Psychological Association claims that students who get extra homework, they suffer from academic burnout, and teachers should limit the amount of homework they give or not give homework, because academic burnout can cause stress in the student, which then leads to poor grades. So that's what we looked at yesterday. Today I'm going to use another point. So when we use this point, by the time we're finished doing our pre-writing process, which is brainstorming our ideas, we will already know what is the counter argument we're coming with. So for today's class, I'm going to look at overwork, right? I'm going to look at overwork. And the point that I'm going to use is that in addition to causing academic burnout, where students just get fed up of the work, overwork itself is a problem for students who get homework. Now, in my argument, I'm going to say when teachers give students work, teachers are also giving themselves work. Okay? So I'm not saying that teachers don't have their fair share of work when they assign work. Work is work. So if the student is getting extra work, it's not just the student who has to bear the burden of this extra work, but also the teacher will have the extra task of correcting and so on the homework. But then I am going to use the argument that neither teacher nor student should be overburdened by school. Okay, that's my argument that I'm going to counter. So whereas somebody will say, well, yes, the children have a lot of work to do, but at the end of the day, teachers have the same amount of work because they have to correct this, and then teachers have their adult lives and they have the children, and they sort of push for this sort of, the teacher is the hero in the situation. I find a lot of times when we're talking about student and teacher interaction, I find a lot of times, this is my personal opinion, it is an argument session, it is a persuasive topic. If you hold a different opinion, argue with me. But sometimes I feel like whenever it comes to student-teacher interactions, I find too many teachers are very egotistical about their job. Meaning, Very little times do they actually show concern for the stakeholder, which is the child. Very little times do you see teachers actually considering the child in the situation. And you would see them putting all of this extra emphasis and effort, and it's ego. To me, it looks like ego in trying to be the world's best teacher. I've never tried to be the world's best teacher. I always go above and beyond for my students, but at the end of the day, it's not about being the world's best teacher. Sometimes you see them so fixated on grades, like they're so fixated on, students' performance at CSEC. When students perform, if they message me, they tell me they do well, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, you are the student. You would have put in the work. Yes, I would have delivered the content, but I deliver the same content every year. I deliver the same content. The content doesn't change. I didn't create the content. You understand? I have a syllabus. I follow a syllabus. I present the information. Yes, if I am good at presenting the information and I am consistent with my teaching and I use a variety of strategies, and so, yes, you can say that my students have a greater chance at success. But at the end of the day, two children grow up in a home with a drunkard. One come out a pastor, one come out an alcoholic. It really doesn't matter in the end of the day. So what I'm saying is you can be the world's best teacher, as in you go above and beyond for your students, but there is no guarantee that students are going to appreciate that. I have had students who excel greatly under my tutelage, and then I have had students who disregard everything that I have to say. They don't care much for me. They don't really like my classes, and they suffer. So I realized at a very young age that be a good teacher for being a good teacher. Be a good teacher for delivering good information, for delivering quality content, for delivering accurate information, for being innovative and creative in how you deliver information. But at the end of the day, do not assume any child's success is because of you. Because you get caught up in this rat race of best teacher, where sometimes teachers actually rival with other teachers to the point where they withhold information that could benefit the entire student body because they're chasing down best teacher pose. It's very egotistical. So sometimes you would see teachers will kill themselves to give students extra homework because they want the students to outperform this one and that one, not realizing that the student has sometimes 12 other subjects doing with your subject. And still you need to be realistic in how children have chores, and children also want to have fun and relax the brain. Children don't have the same aspirations as you with this big ego. Some children do, but you deal with those children in a specific case. They're the exception, not the rule. I just find sometimes teachers take it a little too far just to be known as best teacher, most strict teacher. They put themselves in all sorts of brackets. They aspire to be some teacher that they had when they were growing up who was known for being overly strict or overly something. I don't know, but that's a little rant in between the class. So let's get into it. Right? So I'm going to start with my transition word. I am going to say furthermore. So we're going to continue. Furthermore, students are completely overwhelmed by the excessive workload from homework assigned by teachers. Sorry, not to. By teachers. Now, yesterday I used the word suffering, right? And I said students are suffering from academic burnout. And I hope that y'all will have noticed that word suffering. That was a hyperbole, right? So you use these emotive words. It's not enough to say they are struggling. It's not enough to say they're having a hard time. It's not enough to say they find it difficult. All of those sound very watered down. But if you say they are suffering from academic burnout, oh, poor students. So I'm using the word completely overwhelmed, Furthermore, students are completely overwhelmed by the excessive workload from homework assigned by teachers. An interview by journalists from the Torchlight newspaper shows students all complained about extensive homework assignments in their CPEA preparation which caused issues such as, or let me say illnesses such as headaches, tummy aches, and discomfort in the eye. Okay, I forgot something. An interview from journalists from the Torchlight newspaper. I'm supposed to put in the date. Dated 17th November 2023. So I forgot that. And it's important for you to put the date because when you're stating your source, which newspaper they're going to look in, from what time. You have how much ever volumes and volumes of newspaper. So when you're just quoting a magazine or a newspaper or some sort of periodical, it's important that you put the date. Okay, so I forgot the date there. This is why we are drafting. So when I am revising my work, I would see the date and then I would put it in and make sure I don't omit it. In the examination, when you forget stuff like this, you simply just put an arrow and you put it in somewhere on the line. Don't tear out the page and start rewriting the whole thing. You're going to take up time. Right? So, I presented, furthermore, students are completely overwhelmed by the excessive workload from homework assigned by teachers. That's my topic sentence. Right? And my rationale. They're completely overwhelmed by the excessive workload. An interview by journalists from Torchlight newspaper dated 17th of November 2023 shows students all complained about the extensive homework assignments in their CPE preparations, which cause illnesses such as headache, tummy aches, and discomfort in the eye. Now I'm going to use my persuasive technique. What would be a good persuasive technique for me to use here? I would say I would use an expert. Right? I would use an expert. So I would say Dr. Uno from Beachmont Eye Care stated all these symptoms are due to overwork of the eye muscle and lack of sleep. Okay, so I presented my persuasive technique, which is the expert said, yes, this is caused by these things. But now I'm going to present my counter argument. And you present your counter argument by introducing that these following comments are not my own. These following comments are from the opposers. So I may use a phrase like, some may argue, right? Who is some? Some may argue, not me, other people, right? You can say, others can say, others can refute, right? One fact that speaks counter to this term, or you can say the caveat to this is, you understand? So there's a lot of phrases that you can use. Again, these phrases are in your Google Classroom in the PDF marked phrase bank. So some may argue that teachers who assign the work are equally burdened by the correction of the assignments, but they also have other obligations and still get it done. Now I'm going to use factual information, right? I'm going to use factual information. However, I have to use however to show the factual information I'm presenting is not in agreement with this. It is contrasting it. However, the Torchlight newspaper also interviewed teachers where during the COVID-19 pandemic, teachers also complained of similar symptoms. As well as the burden to manage work and personal lives. Okay. I'm going to use a persuasive technique known as rhetorical question so that you can see how a rhetorical question is. Given the negative medical implications of overwork on both teachers and students. Does homework present all the benefits it claims to do while overwhelming both teachers and students? Right? So this is my rhetorical question. I'm going to take it from the top. Furthermore, students are completely overwhelmed by the excessive workload from homework assigned by teachers. Topic, sentence, rationale. An interview by journalists from the Torchlight newspaper dated 17th of November 2023 shows students all complain about extensive homework assignments in their CPE preparations, which cause illnesses such as headaches, tummy aches, and discomfort in the eye. Dr. Uno from Beachmont Eye Care stated all these symptoms are due to overwork of the eye muscles and lack of sleep. Some may argue, so this is my counter-argument, some may argue that teachers who assign the work are equally burdened by the correction of the assignments, but they also have other obligations and still get the work done. However, the Torchlight newspaper in 2020 also interviewed teachers where during the COVID-19 pandemic, teachers also complained of similar symptoms as well as the burden to manage work and personal lives. That is my factual information that is countering the argument. Now I'm going to reinforce and link what I said before to what I'm trying to say now with the use of a rhetorical question. Now remember, rhetorical questions are questions that are posited in an interrogative format, but they are actually statement of fact with your opinion embedded in there. So I have my rhetorical question is, given the negative medical implications of overwork on both teachers and students, does homework present all the benefit it claims to do while overwhelming teachers and students? So the factual information that is embedded in this rhetorical question is there are negative implications for homework, overwork due to homework. There are negative implications. What are the negative implications? The students and the teachers complain about similar symptoms, and the doctor corroborated that these symptoms are due to overwork. Right? So you cannot argue that there are no negative medical implications. So within the rhetorical question, that's my fact. That given the negative medical implications of overwork, that there are negative implications. Right? Does homework present all the benefits it claims to do while overwhelming both teachers and students? What's my opinion? That homework is overwhelming both teachers and students, claiming to have all these benefits. Does it really? Right? So does homework present all the benefits it claims? Right? So remember, the doctor has already said that this thing is causing issues. Homework, on the other hand, is saying that we have all these benefits. Is homework really right when everybody is saying that this thing is negative? So that's my rhetorical question. It is a statement of fact. The fact is there are negative implications due to the overwork. What is my opinion? I don't know if the negative outweigh the positive, because both teachers and students are showing that they are overwhelmed with this workload. Okay? To do while both teachers and students. Does homework present all the benefits it claims to do while overwhelming both teachers and students? And the last thing that I have to put in now is my center statement when I repeat everything. So then I will say, It is evident that though there may be a need for excess homework, that can be beneficial to students, there are too many negative effects on both teachers and students who are equally overwhelmed and overworked with homework assignments. There we go. Okay. So there we have the information. Let me see if I turn down the brightness of the lamp. No, I still don't think you can see it very well. But as you know, I will take a picture of the board. I always take a picture of the board and I'll place it there for you. Right? So I'm going to read it over again and I'm going to explain once more what it is we covered today. So in today's class, we're looking at creating the body for our persuasive writing essay. Now the body comprises of 3 paragraphs, and these 3 paragraphs will explain and expound on the 3 main points that you presented in your thesis statement. However, of the 3 paragraphs, it is important that you include what is called a counter argument in one of these paragraphs because it presents a more panoptic perspective of your argument where you establish that you are aware that there are others who refute certain claims. However, you are aware of those claims and you are here to debunk or diminish any possible argument that can arise because you believe your perspective to have the most logical points. It rids your essay of looking biased or looking under-researched or under-contemplated. So when you present the opposing argument that somebody else can use to debunk your argument, it strengthens your argument because now you're not only presenting your factual information, but you're presenting possible facts that they can have as the basis for their rationale, and then you're presenting more logical facts that shows that that might be a good idea, but it's not totally good in its entirety. So when you present your counter argument, you actually strengthen your own argument. Okay, so when we are looking at our paragraph, I use the same example from yesterday where Kenelia presented her essay on should teachers give extra homework. I created a paragraph for that yesterday, and now I am creating my 3rd paragraph of my body, or my 4th paragraph of my essay, which includes my counter argument. Here are the 6 sentences that we would use in our counter argument paragraph. You still use your topic sentence, you still use your rationale, you still use factual data. You still must link your factual data with your opinion using a persuasive technique. Then you present your counter argument with your counter facts, and then you present your counter persuasive technique and then you use your censure statement. So for that section, I just put counter argument, but you have to repeat steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the counter argument. What does that look like? It looks like this paragraph. Furthermore, students are completely overwhelmed by the excessive workload from homework assigned by teachers. That's my topic sentence. Overwhelm. What is causing it? Homework assigned by teachers. That's my topic sentence with my rationale. An interview by the journalist from the Torchlight newspaper dated 17th November 2023 shows students all complain about extensive homework assignments in their CPEA preparations, which cause illnesses such as headaches, tummy aches, and discomfort in the eye. So for my persuasive technique, or rather for my factual information, I presented an interview. Right? I cannot tell these children that they did not have these symptoms. This is factual information. It was placed in the Torchlight newspaper, and this is what they stated was their experience. The Torchlight newspaper did their investigation and their journalism. I had no part to play in it. This is considered factual data, an account of what the students experience using a list of experiences. So lists are also very useful for argument. Other than having like statistical data, lists can also be very helpful. So they listed some symptoms, and all the symptoms sound very bad. So then I go ahead and I use my persuasive technique where I followed up with an expert. Now you may say, but if you already have factual information, why are you using factual information again? When you look at the type of factual information that I use factual information that is an account. It is an account of somebody's experience. It is not factual as in it is research. Nobody medically assess these children and say, well, yes, this one definitely had a headache. This one definitely had an eye ache. You can just see that the information presented is just an account. So, in order for me to put some weight on the account, anybody could say, man, is gas why the child head was hurting. You understand? So, in order to sort of strengthen that interview, that piece of data that I am using, I am now using an expert to sort of strengthen that experience. And that creates that balance. So whereas before, if I had given, like in the paragraph I did yesterday, I gave the factual information and then I followed up that factual information with hypothetical situations to show cause and effect. In this situation, this is a real life situation that happened. But I'm now using the doctor to sort of strengthen and buttress the argument or the presentation of facts. So that's how I create that ethos logos balance. The ethos logos balance. Dr. Uno from Beachmont Eye Care stated, all these symptoms are due to overwork of the eye muscles and lack of sleep. That's my persuasion there. Now I'm coming in with my counter argument, and I have to use a transition phrase or transition word to represent that I am presenting a counter argument. This argument is not my own. Do not assume that I am contradicting myself in the essay. I know very well that I'm not contradicting myself, and here is why. Some may argue that teachers who assign the work are equally burdened by the correction of the assignments, and they also have their other obligations, but they still get it done. So teachers are superhuman. Teachers want to balance home life, work life, study life, marriage life, social life, financial life, exercise life, all the lives, and work life. So teachers are superhuman. However, catch teachers slipping. However, the Torchlight newspaper in 2020 also interviewed teachers where during the COVID-19 pandemic, teachers also complained of similar symptoms as well as a burden to manage work and their personal lives. So if teachers could have complained before during the COVID-19 pandemic having these same symptoms, claiming it to be overwork, why these students can't be having these same symptoms as a result of overwork? Teachers seem a little biased to me. So, given the negative medical implications of overwork on both teachers and students, does homework present all the benefit it claims to do while overwhelming both teachers and students? So there I have my rhetorical question where I'm saying there are negative implications of overwork and they are affecting both teachers and students. So does homework really present all the benefits that they're claiming? And then I will come in now with my censure statement, right, which is, it is evident that though there may be a need for excess work that can be beneficial to students, there are too many negative effects on both teachers and students who are equally overwhelmed and overworked with homework assignments. And this is my paragraph. So let me see if there are any questions. I don't have the laptop hooked up, so I have to come around. Good afternoon, Miss. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm hoping that this class was easy to understand and informative. I am finished with the topic for today. Again, if there are any questions, whenever you get an opportunity to rewatch this video, you can go ahead and message me with any questions. I will be there to answer them. If you don't have any questions, then I would suggest that you continue on and complete your body. So now you should have your introductory paragraph and your 3 body paragraphs, including one with your counter argument. And Thursday, we are going to move on to our conclusion. So by the end of this week, I should be getting full persuasive essays. Okay? So I see a lot of yes, miss, yes. So I take it that you are... Put them on the camera. Everybody keeps saying put the students on the camera. I should let you all join and put your faces on the camera, but that's a battle I never won even during COVID-19 when we were fully online. So leave the students to their privacy. I fully understand it. So students, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope the information was understandable. Just a quick recap. Just remember we looked at our 3rd paragraph of our body. That includes our counter argument, where we were able to create the paragraph using the same structured sentences that we have for the first body paragraph and the second body paragraph. But for this 3rd body paragraph, we put in an extra for them, which is utilizing the counter argument, where we introduce an opposing point, we debunked it, we hit them back with the hard facts, and they couldn't argue anymore. So our argument is still standing strong. Iron like a lion in Zion. So practice this, and I will look forward to your submissions of your arguments. Remember, I am going to be posting some of those in the letters to the editor by the Social newspaper. So make sure when I put your letter to the editor in the newspaper that you have a very well written, very convincing, persuasive essay. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and I will see you next time.